Watch a child for one afternoon. Don't say anything. Don't interfere. Just watch. Watch how they hold their fork, exactly the way their father holds his. Watch how they roll their eyes when something bores them, exactly the way their mother does. Watch that half-second of hesitation before they ask a question, that quick glance toward the adult in the room, as if checking whether curiosity is still permitted today. You are not watching a child. You are watching a recording. And the person who pressed record has no idea they did it. Over 100 years ago, a German philosopher saw something about the way ordinary, loving, well-meaning parents raise their children, and what he described is one of the most uncomfortable truths you will ever sit with. By the end of this video, you may not look at your own upbringing the same way again. A child enters this world as something close to a philosopher. They ask why without embarrassment. They touch what they are told not to touch. They cry without apology and laugh without permission. They are, for a brief and unrepeatable window, genuinely themselves. And then slowly, patiently, lovingly, that is corrected. The parents call it raising. Friedrich Nietzsche would have called it taming. There is a kind of stupidity that does not know it is stupid. It does not arrive with ignorance on display. It arrives quietly, dressed in common sense. It says things like, "That is just how things are. Don't ask questions you cannot answer. Be realistic. You will understand when you are older." This stupidity is not born. It is inherited. It passes from generation to generation, not through genes, but through imitation, through the slow, unconscious absorption of how the adults around you move through the world. Nietzsche saw this before the word psychology meant what it does today. Most people do not think. They repeat. Most people do not choose their values. They absorb them. Most people do not live their lives. They perform them, following a script handed down by parents who followed the same script, stretching back through generations nobody can name. Nietzsche called it the herd, not only as an insult, as a description. A herd moves in one direction because the creature beside it is moving, not because any of them examined the destination, because movement with the group feels safer than stillness alone. The herd has its own morality, its own definition of success and failure. And it enforces those definitions not through violence, but through something far more effective: belonging. You want to belong. Every human being does. That is what makes herd morality so powerful and so dangerous. It does not force you to comply. It simply makes non-compliance feel like exile. It makes the child who asks too many questions feel like a burden. And so the parents, who are themselves herd animals, shaped by the same invisible pressure, do what the herd has always done to its young. They domesticate them, not with cruelty, with love, with worry, with genuine fear. They see the world as dangerous, and they want their child to be safe inside it, which means, in practice, they want their child to be acceptable to it. Not exceptional, not honest, not free, acceptable. Most parents, not cruel parents, ordinary well-meaning parents, teach their children 4 things above all else. First, obedience. Not the kind born from understanding, the reflexive kind. When authority speaks, you stop thinking and comply. This seems necessary when the child is small, but the lesson never ends. The child grows up and the instinct remains. Find the authority and follow it. Boss, government, majority opinion. Whatever is largest becomes the guide. Second, fear of failure dressed as ambition, grades, achievements, respectable careers. Not because they want the child fulfilled, but because they want them safe from judgment. The child learns that their worth is contingent, that love is slightly conditional, that they must perform adequately to remain acceptable. Third, emotional suppression called strength. Don't cry, don't complain. Don't be too much, too loud, too strange, too sensitive. The child who feels deeply is told they are feeling incorrectly, so they learn to present a surface and hide everything underneath. And fourth, perhaps most damaging of all, they teach that the group is right, that consensus is truth, that what everyone believes is probably real. A child who absorbs this will never be capable of standing alone in a correct position. They will seek permission from the crowd before committing to a single thought. Here is what nobody wants to hear. Most parents are not raising children, they are raising mirrors. The parent who was humiliated for being different raises a child who desperately tries to fit in. The parent who was crushed by failure raises a child terrified to try. The parent who was never allowed to express anger raises a child who does not know what to do with their own rage. We call this protection. We call this guidance. But at a deeper level, it is projection. The parent sees in the child a second chance to navigate dangers they themselves never overcame. And so they pass down the same defenses, the same coping mechanisms, the same limitations. But limitations are not love. Fear is not wisdom. A child who inherits your wounds does not inherit your strength. They inherit the shape of the wound. If this is reaching something honest in you, something beneath the surface, consider subscribing. What we explore on this channel requires patience, and the deepest truths never arrive in a single sitting. Every few generations, a child escapes, not because they had perfect parents, because something stubborn inside them refused to be fully absorbed, refused to stop questioning when questioning became inconvenient. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not domination over others, but power in the internal sense, the capacity to choose your values rather than inherit them, to take the raw material of your life and shape it into something genuinely yours. He called this person the Übermensch, not a god, not a superhero, simply a human being who has done the difficult, unglamorous, often lonely work of becoming themselves. This person does not emerge from comfort. They emerge from friction, from being told one thing and feeling another, and choosing, slowly, painfully, to trust what they feel, from the willingness to be misunderstood by parents, by peers, by society, and to bear that misunderstanding without being destroyed by it. So what does it mean to raise a child well? Not by the herd's definition, but by the deeper one. It starts with something almost no parent does naturally, letting the child be wrong. Not wrong about facts, those can be corrected, but wrong in their opinions, their conclusions, their attempts. A child who has never failed believes failure is final, and so they become incapable of the risk that all genuine growth requires. It continues with taking the child's questions seriously, not humoring them, actually engaging, actually saying, "I do not know the answer, let us sit with not knowing together." A child raised in a house where questions are welcome becomes an adult who asks them. A child raised where questions are managed becomes an adult who flinches before their own curiosity. It means allowing the child to disagree with you about important things, especially important things. The parent who cannot be questioned is teaching the child that authority matters more than truth. And it means, in the deepest sense, raising a person, rather than a version of yourself. Nietzsche understood something about inheritance that most parents never examine. What you pass to the next generation is not primarily what you say. It is what you are, the quality of your attention, the depth of your honesty, the breadth of your courage, or the absence of it. A parent who has never questioned their own beliefs will raise a child who does not know. Beliefs can be questioned. A parent who has never sat alone with uncertainty will raise a child terrified of not knowing, and the world will remain full, as it is full, of people who stand in the right lines, hold the right opinions, say the right words, and wake up at 50 feeling somewhere beneath it all a quiet grief. The grief of a life performed rather than lived. Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. The question was never whether you love your children. Of course you do. The question is whether that love is brave enough to let them become something you did not plan for, something the herd will not applaud, something that may not be understood until long after you are gone. When the child, now grown, now tested, now standing alone in some difficult moment, reaches inside themselves and finds something solid. Not a rule, not an instruction, just the quiet knowledge that they are capable of thinking for themselves, and that someone once believed that about them before they did. What is one thing your parents taught you that you later realized you had to unlearn? Say it below. Not to blame them, but because naming it is how you stop passing it forward. And if this felt like something worth returning to, subscribe. Some conversations only begin when comfort ends.